should the Chicago Bears be in on Terry McLaurin, who's holding out right now at mandatory minicamp? Let's talk about it starting now. Now, if you are new to the channel, please like the video. Please subscribe to the page, as we do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. It's the only channel talking Chicago sports, how Chicago talks. So make sure that you get in tune with us, man. So while we were on the daily show today, the news came out that Terry McLaurin was not seen at mandatory minicamp. It would seem that he is holding out for a new deal per Adam Schefter. He wants a deal that is comparable to what wide receivers that are in his kind of age range, stat range, all of that are getting right now. And so the question on the table, should the Bears look to trade for Terry McLaurin? And you kind of got to look at kind of where the Bears timeline is, how the Bears are going to go, and what the Bears are looking to give up and try to spend. I know there's a lot of people in here who say, no, you got to go get DK. DK's not at training camp either. Go get DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf's the answer. There's a couple things here, though, that I do want to point out about Terry McLaurin that I feel like are big parts over DK to me. The one thing is, DK is going to come with a crazy price tag. I don't think that DK is a $20 million a year player, but the NFL obviously does. So there's people that are going to pay DK 20 mil, probably over 4 to 5 years. You're getting close to Cooper Kupp range right there. I don't think DK's that level of player. I don't think he has the route running ability. I don't think that he has the that he's been the go-to guy on third down in that Seattle offense. And this is not just based on what he did last season with a half a year Geno Smith. You know, this is going back. I think that Tyler Lockett's their number one. On the flip side of that, though, that's how I feel about Terry McLaurin when I look at him, right? Like, he's coming into this thing 26 years old, coming into a very similar situation that the Chicago Bears had, right? You're running through quarterbacks with the Commanders, but now you feel like you finally found a young one. And I feel like Terry McLaurin might be a little more intrigued to come work with a team that's still in the process of learning to win, right? It's not in a completely different situation that he's in there. And that's trying to move things in the right direction, but with a completely new regime and seemingly a very similar wideout in Darnell Mooney on the other side of you. I think you would have a nice 1-2 tandem, right? Because the biggest knock on Darnell Mooney was, hey, and he's got to go up there and get it when you got to throw the deep ball to him. Is he going to be able to come down with that 50-50 ball? That's what we've seen Terry McLaurin be able to do. He had over 1,000 yards last season, 13.7 yards per catch, and 5 touchdowns, right, in an up and down system. So I'd be more intrigued on a Terry McLaurin from a trade aspect, because I feel like he'd be more inclined to come to a team. While, yes, it is in a similar situation, you have what you would feel is a better, a new commodity coming in there at the quarterback position, and an offense that you think that you would have somebody who can work off of you even better. Now, before I continue with the video, I do want to know how you guys feel, man. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think that Terry McLaurin is a good get for the Chicago Bears? Should the Bears go trade for him? I'll be down there talking with you as well. The other thing for me, kind of in the wide receiver room right now, is that you have to look across the room and figure out how much these guys are going to be making. I believe that Darnell Mooney is going to be a clear-cut number one. I think it would benefit Darnell Mooney to show out with that if he had somebody like a Terry McLaurin on the other side, that you can't just double-team Darnell, right? Like, I hope Velus Jones is good. I hope Byron Pringle takes a step. But at a minimum, I know Terry McLaurin can play the game of football. He's had multiple 1,000-yard seasons. His rookie year is the only year he didn't break 1,000 yards. And so I feel like you go out and get him. You can't double-team either one of those guys off rip. Is it the tallest wide out combo in the NFL? It's not. I understand that. But the other thing is too, right? What's it going to cost to get a Terry McLaurin? He wants a contract of guys that are around his range. His range is about the $15 to $17 million range, as opposed to DK Metcalf, who's going to come in, like I said, commanding $20 million a year. And on top of that, the capital to give up for Terry McLaurin, I don't believe is nearly as high. We've heard DK being talked about as a first-round pick next year's draft, and possibly a second round pick 2 years from now, or a third round pick 2 years from now, packaging that to go get DK Metcalf, right? With Terry McLaurin, I feel like you're going out. You could possibly spend a second, maybe a fourth, second and a fifth, somewhere in that range to go out and get him. He wouldn't cost you nearly as much to be a part of this team. He'll help with the development of Justin and Darnell Mooney so that they both can reach a higher ceiling. Because listen, nobody's able to do it alone. They're just not, right? Like Darnell Mooney might be a really good wide receiver, but if nobody else on this team performs the way that we think they will, it's not going to matter. It's just not, because they're going to double team them every play. And so you have to create spaces where you feel like guys are going to be able to succeed. On the other side, right, comes in at a much cheaper price tag. 17 million over 4 years versus 20 million over 4 years adds up, and we still have a lot of needs on this team. And even if you can get him to come in here for a little bit less, maybe a 16.5, 16, right, like that is a top tier wide receiver coming in at $4 million less, and you're still getting really, really good production out of him as long as Justin Fields can get him the ball. And you're not giving up nearly as much draft capital. That's what it comes down to. We want to hold on to our draft capital because guess what? I can go into the draft next season and maybe I can find that big body wide out that everybody so covets that they want DK to be, that they want DK to become, right? Like maybe I can go find that in the draft because I continue to find that every season in the draft. Or maybe I keep my first round pick and I can find the offensive lineman that's going to secure everything for the Chicago Bears instead of trading that first round pick to go get a wide out. And now Justin Fields may not have time to throw the ball moving forward because we still can't shore up this offensive line for him. The move for me is whatever keeps you your first round picks right now so that we can shore up some things on this team. I'm okay losing a second. We got no second next year. Maybe we package a couple picks and we move back up. But at a minimum, I want to have my first round pick going into next year's draft because that's going to be an opportunity for Ryan Poles to be able to go out and get his big fish, his big name guy, right? Year 2 of this thing, and then you start to see kind of how he's shaping out this football team. So anything that keeps us with more or higher draft capital, I'm in favor of that. I feel like going to get Terry McLaurin does that, and so I would be in favor of going to get Terry McLaurin. I'm okay with paying him, especially after you got a little bit more money after Tariq's money came off of the books, and why am I blanking on our other linebacker whose money came off of the books? Y'all know who I'm talking about. I can't even think of Danny Trevathan. There it is. Danny Trevathan's money came off of the books. So now they have a little bit more, about 22 something-ish million to play with. And so I think you could get him in here under that price. Now, listen, this all could be very different if Terry says, I want to come out and make $20 million a year. All right, now, Terry, you stay right there in Washington. But he said he wants comparable to what like the wide receivers in his range are making. It's about $17 to $15 million a year. It's not too bad. So I wouldn't mind seeing the Bears go after him. I do want to know how you guys feel, though. Let me know in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you as well. Or should I say down there talking with you as well. As always, man, it's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Do you want Terry McLaurin on the Chicago Bears? Should the Bears go after him and trade? I'll be down there talking with you as well. As always, it's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Peace.